Hi, Carol. Can you hear me?
Is this the right place?
Yes, it is. And seriously, earlier I had another panel. It didn't work. So I'm so glad.
Yeah, no worries. And so,
yeah, I think we online here. We are, yeah.
Okay, I think Jane was popping over here. Hopefully she knows what I did is I clicked on sessions and
Yes.
then I clicked on. So I went with your link, then sessions, then the actual one. So hopefully she'll be on here in a sec.
And thanks for attending this workshop. And it's pretty good because we have more women than men this time. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's great. Is Tony on?
Not yet. He's on the backstage. So with the two of us, and I think we have Alexander. I can see someone is from Clasquin, yeah, but he's a participant, so he can see and hear us, but he cannot chat with us.
Okay.
Hi, Alexander.
Should I be in backstage or no?
No, we cannot.
It's all good. Okay, good. Just make sure. I'll go on mute here.
Hello, Christelle. Hello, everyone connecting and connected right now. I'm very happy to welcome you all to this session about aerospace. Why is Florida's commercial aerospace booming? That's a very good question, and I hope we're going to have very good answers. I'm sure, actually, we're going to get very good answers. We're waiting for all of our panelists joining us right now. It's 11:01. We have an hour to talk about aerospace, and this is exciting. Hi, Carol. Hi, Laurent. Hi, Tony. Hi, Jane. Thank you. Hello, Christelle. We've seen you a little earlier, and you are our co-moderator. You're Christelle MAFFRE, Enterprise Florida, France, Italy, and Benelux offices. So thank you very much for co-moderating. And Tony Gannon. Hello, Tony.
Hello, Mark. My pleasure to meet you. Enchanté.
A pleasure, shared pleasure. Tony, you're VP Research and Innovation for Space Florida, and you are our moderator today. Thank you for accepting. We just want to present our panelists. Carol Craig. Hi, Carol. Thank you for joining us, founder and CEO of Sidus Space and Craig Technologies. Jane Poynter. Hello, Jane. Bonjour, Jane. Co-CEO and Chief Experience Officer for Space Perspective. And Laurent. Hello, Laurent. Laurent Baudel, Head of Commercial and US Government Programs for Airbus OneWeb Satellites.
Bonjour, good morning, good afternoon, everybody.
I just want to tell you, everyone watching, that there's a chat box on the right-hand side. You can ask questions. All the questions that you may have, we will tackle the questions towards the end of the session. It's going to be around 12, around a quarter to noon, and at noon. So, Tony, would you like to kick off?
Yes, indeed, Mark. Firstly, my sincere thanks to you, Mark, for all your work. I've been watching you the past 24 hours doing an excellent job. So, round of applause, as we say,
Thank you very much.
to you. And also a special friend to Rachel, who's become my best friend in terms of helping me through the maze of getting on live today. So 3 cheers for Rachel. So I'm very excited. We got together, I think, a most incredible panel, you know, with Laurent from Airbus OneWeb, with Carol Craig, a dear friend from Sidus Space and Craig Technologies, with Christelle MAFFRE, whom I've had the pleasure of meeting in France some years ago. It was, of course, the food and the entire ambiance of France and Aix-en-Provence was phenomenal. And to Jane Poynter, who we've actually worked with before, and we're so proud of your recent achievements, Jane, that it's just phenomenal what you bring to Florida, and we'll get into that. And Christelle, looking forward to working with you. This is the first time we've actually done such a broadcast, and today is, as you know, so why is Florida's aerospace business booming? And I suppose in some ways we can automatically throw some responses in and say things like, there is an insatiable demand for bandwidth. I think the whole world may know that. The satellite industry, the research and innovation that's taking place is demanding more and more growth. The unprecedented growth and the interest in the space program is quite phenomenal. And Carol, you and I, as long-term residents here in Central Florida, you can see that happening when the crowds turn out and the tourists to watch those SpaceX launches. It's just phenomenal. But I'm going to get a little bit personal and say, you know, I spoke to our president, Frank DeBello, last week, and we're talking about, tell me, Frank, what has this COVID done to our space program? But what has it done in particular to Space Florida? And it's quite phenomenal. One would expect to see some really bad things happening and a decrease in business, but the opposite has in fact occurred. For instance, Frank was able to tell me that Space Florida's deals in the pipeline are over $2.5 billion between capital investment and also our business development team. That's a phenomenal number. And I can't guarantee that every one of those deals goes through, but a lot of it will. We have tripled the number of contracts in 1 year, Mark. Can you imagine tripling contracts in 1 year? Phenomenal pressure on our finance department, on our contracts department, and for those who actually write the contracts with the various companies. So it's quite a bit. And of course, the commercial influence. We talked about Sidus Space and Carol's companies, Blue Origin, Redwire Developments, OneWeb Satellites, SpaceX, and then this phenomenal idea that's happening that we are going to replace at some time in the near future our International Space Station. And what's going to happen? Will it be who will be doing it? Will it be private and commercial companies? And how might it take place? I'm thinking of Axiom Space mentioned that they may build a space station, I guess finance permitting, and also Blue Origin. But I've spent too much and way too much. And I'm going to pass it over to Christelle now, Christelle, because I know you will going to start off giving us a synopsis of how you feel about the space program, what you work at in Enterprise Florida in those European countries. And we'll go through everyone and have 4 to 5 minutes of conversation about our work.
Thanks, Tony. Just to give you an overview quickly about Enterprise Florida. So Enterprise Florida opened their office in 2005 in France. And since then, we've been supporting French mainly company and European company to, we facilitate their expansion from the conception of the project to the really realization. So we kind of have a mandate from the state of Florida, from the Governor DeSantis, and we are facilitating the development and the connection. So we can help you to find building. We can also help you to recruit. We also put you in connection with some service providers, some potential partner, university, and as well, if we can, do some incentive support. So we use a lot Space Florida. And Space Florida, it's also, and Tony, you didn't really present, and I think I would like to highlight that. Space Florida is kind of only, I would say, structure who can finance some of the project, not only on the space, but mainly on the space industry. And basically, they can help you to facilitate the investment in Florida through supporting you land, the construction, or the buying you equipment. So please refer to their website or chat with Tony on the booth, because it's really interesting. And I think it's the only state offering this kind of organization and support. Just to briefly give you information about the Florida, everybody knows that we can deliver the moon, that for sure. That now the whole world knows that. So, but it's not only about that. We kind of the home of the R&D tech, I would say, and manufacturing in terms of space. We are gathering almost the full value chain of the space industry, from the upstream, midstream, and downstream. Okay, we're missing maybe some player. We are welcoming them anytime to work with our company there. So it could be Airbus OneWeb, it could be Blue Origin, Lockheed Martin, I would say L3 RUAG. We installed a Swiss company who just expanded in Florida. And I'm glad today to meet with some company that I don't know yet. So Craig Aerospace and Jen as well to speak about your project. I would like also to tell you that the aerospace industry in Florida is representing a little bit more than 1,000 employees, 100,000 employees. It's kind of the largest, I would say, talent pool with rocket scientists. It could be mechanical, pilot, engineer, high-skilled worker. But just to let you know as well, 12% of this employment is related to the space. It's almost 13,000 employees. The average, just also the average wage for this space industry is going to be $119,000 USD yearly. And just to let you know, we are 15% less than the national average salary on the space industry. I just don't want to give you so much stats, but I would like also to make sure that we have the 3 testimonial and company will be really bringing a lot. And please ask the question directly on the taskbar, as Marc-Antoine said. And I give the floor to Tony, and maybe I think we can start with.
Yes, thank you so much, Christelle, and I appreciate it. You enumerating some of the great partnership that exists between Enterprise Florida and Space Florida. And of course, we welcome all inquiries. Now over to Laurent, my dear friend in Airbus OneWeb Satellites. Laurent, as they say in France, take the floor.
Thank you. Bonjour. Bonjour aux Français, morning, afternoon for the US people here. So yeah, one point, Airbus OneWeb satellites, for the people that don't know yet, it's a joint venture between Airbus, the European and US company, and OneWeb that was funded back in January 2016. And I do remember well those very early time of the company, talking to Christelle already at that time, and the rest of the Space Florida team. So what we've done, to put some points here, is that we started the design and production of the first prototype of our satellites. I mean, not in a garage like most of the startup here in the US, but from the well-established Airbus Defense and Space Campus in Toulouse. But it was with the objective, clearly, that finally building a factory, building a floor that was able to manufacture satellites here on the US soil. And that factory was, I think, groundbreaking sometime in 2017. And we had the factory inauguration in Florida by, I think it was July 2019. So we are located at the gate of the Kennedy Space Center on the Space Coast here in Florida. So if you've been there already, you cannot miss the Blue Origin building. And just before Space Florida offices, there is a teeny one that is a giant factory for satellites. This is where we are. So from that, we started producing a satellite at a never before seen rate, up to now to 2 satellites a day, where on a traditional and old space industry, it could take years and years to design, assemble, and test those products, right? And this was possible today thanks to the OneWeb mission for connecting everyone and everywhere in the world. I mean, you probably heard about Starlink, right? Well, we're doing the same thing. Well, kind of same thing, much better, I have to say. No, I'm joking. So here in Florida, we have about 200 employees. They are all skilled technicians, but also other supporting functions like program for myself, finance, HR, etc., etc. On the floor that is currently running pretty much 24 hours and 7 days to manufacture those satellites. And we still have a little bit less than hundreds of employees that are still in France, a couple of engineering people and design to manufacture supporting the production. Well, with the last launch that happened by, I think it was October, that was the 11th launch of the OneWeb mission. We have now 358 satellites that are in orbit, which is over half of the OneWeb constellation of 648 satellites, right? The next launch is scheduled for December this year. And we have more than 400 satellites that have been manufactured so far. Sorry, it's a little bit of background in my noise in my background today. So again, we are here for manufacturing this OneWeb constellation, but not only, right? I'm the head of commercial and U.S. governmental program. Today, I moved to the U.S. a couple of years ago with a family in 2017 to build that factory and that company. At AOS, clearly we work to provide a mission-ready service for our global satellite customers. This is what we are targeting today, right? We are true leaders in high-volume satellite design, engineering, and production. There is not another company like us doing that in this area. And we are operating internationally through our home location, again in Europe and in the US. Clearly today, we're focused on developing, establish a new space application to ensure we met an ever-increasing demand of both our governmental and commercial customer. And we have several discussions with Tony and the rest of the Space Florida team how we can still increase this capacity, right, and this demand. I mean, everyone went through the COVID outbreak, so we see a tremendous future in the LEO market. As the pandemic has shown us our reliance today to the internet on staying connected, like see today, right? We are all connected. We cannot have this panel on for real life, so this is a change, right? And this is a change for business, and this is a change for the schools as well, right? And this is one of the OneWeb mission. And with the support of OneWeb, partnering with some other telco companies and with Airbus as well, it is clearly in our mission and our DNA of connecting the people everywhere. And our satellites today will help to bridge that gap. But not only, right? I mean, clearly for us, OneWeb was the spark plug. That was the start. But beyond OneWeb today, we are clearly working together and very, very closely with Airbus in the US. There is an SSA that was created a couple of years ago now to deal with the governmental DoD's contract, and in Europe on the future opportunity that would expand into military with the DoD and other commercial market like Earth observation satellites. So clearly today, our interest is to stay in Florida. So it's a nice place to live, right? It's a nice place to work, and to continue to expand that network, bring additional and partners and suppliers and customers in our small space ecosystem, and bringing all of those additional people and partners with us to build those beautiful satellites, right?
Well, thank you so much, Laurent, for the great background and the history of your arrival here in Florida. And, you know, if I can assume to speak on behalf of Space Florida, say we're so honored to have you so close to us. We meet on a regular basis. You're right across the road, as you said, from Blue Origin. And so that combination of I think of energy is truly helping to drive our aerospace program here in Florida. Again, our welcome. And Christelle, you mentioned about the opportunity to work closely with Space Florida. I believe, Laurent, you worked closely on the design of the facility, which was financed by Space Florida, the equipment that was put inside. This is a very important, unique, you might say, asset that Space Florida can bring to a deal. And so for those international companies who are perhaps tuned in today, listen to Laurent. He knows the story and knows the kind of support that we can provide you all. So being remiss, my dear friend Carol, it's so great to see you again and the success that you've had in your company. And with Sidus Space, as founder and CEO and Craig Technologies, I know you're a very busy lady, but please, we'd love to hear about your companies and how things are going for you.
Oh, thank you so much, Tony. So hello to everybody. Good morning. And I want to say thank you first to my AMA Live organizers and the French American Chamber of Commerce in Space Florida, Tony, for hosting this. And it's awesome to be a part of it, and especially with my industry colleagues here from the Space Coast. You know, it's pretty exciting. You know, all of us, I think we've got the same, you know, focus, and it's to enable access to space for like everybody. And that's what's so exciting about what's going on. So, so I'll give a little bit of background about our company, our role in space industry. You know, it's a kind of a long story, but I'm going to make it very short because I want to stick to a lot of time and, you know, keep Tony happy. So like you mentioned, currently I'm the CEO of two companies, Craig Technologies and Sidus Space. And Craig Technologies provides high-end engineering technical services, primarily to government and commercial customers, federal government and commercial customers. And then Sidus Space is a space as a service company. And so a little background on Craig Technologies. I founded Craig in 1999, and it was a one-person operation with me literally working from my kitchen table. And since then, we've grown to several hundred employees in 20 different states. And our customers, as I mentioned, we focus on large prime contractors, Department of Defense agencies, NASA, other government agencies, and commercial customers of all different sizes, and then both national and then expanding into international. So that's Craig Technologies. And actually tying back to Space Coast, it was pretty much pure luck that my family and I chose to relocate here in Space Coast. And it was one of those where I'm growing the company and looking around and saying, okay, where do we want to live when we grow up? And we looked at this area and I thought, oh, there's lots of customers here. There's lots of great people. The weather's awesome, of course. Coming from Illinois, that was really important for me to be in that warm weather. And so, you know, once I got here, I realized that, wow, this is one of the best places that I could have landed to expand my company. And also because we can tap into, like, as mentioned, all the incredible, talented and experienced workforce that are living here. There's also a big entrepreneurial feel here, and it's growing because of the space program and commercial space, but it was here back in 2004, even when I moved here. And I think that's really important. And when I moved here, as you all know, you know, we knew there was the end of the shuttle program eventually, but it became a little more realistic in 2010, and that so it actually created there was a need, I think, for economic development and a focus on space during that time, because the community was being heavily impacted by the shuttle program. So that provided some sort of opportunity a little bit for us, and we continued to grow Craig, and then we created Sidus Space. And Sidus Space was originally a division of Craig Technologies, but we spun it out in 2014 as its own company and focused on providing manufacturing. That included like precision machining, and assembly, cable harness assembly, 3D printing, all kinds of more of your high mix, low volume type of specialty manufacturing. And most of it was to support the space and defense industry. It's some commercial that we did as well. So because of that, over the last few years, we've actually built space hardware for almost all of the NASA programs, and then also for commercial space. We have a number of commercial space customers. And out of that, we transitioned, and over the last 2 years became a little more focused on what we could do, how we could target, commercial space, be a little more targeted in the space components that we were building. We began designing and developing our own 3D printed satellites and platforms related to that, and have sort of turned into this satellite operations company. And we are small. We did not start out of a garage. We have a 40,000 square foot facility that's been over here for the last, I guess, since 2016, I think, is our new facility. And so we've just sort of, we're doing everything that we did before. We've just kind of packaged it a little more clearly. So if we, thinking about, the focus of our panel and why we're doing this, and, we're all trying to meet the demands and needs of our customers, and, space is a solution, and it really is a solution to just about, any problem that's out there, and anything terrestrial can eventually be done, with space as that solution. But I think one of the challenges that we saw over the years, especially the last few years, was a challenge to companies who want to market to the space industry. It's hard to get your hardware space tested. And I'm going to use terms, whatever, that maybe I talk a little bit. My engineers are a lot smarter than I am. So I'm bringing this down to earth as far as the terms go, but space hardware tested to like a TRL 9 level. TRL is a technology readiness level. And those levels are used to assess kind of the maturity of your technology. And there's level 7, 8, there's all levels. 7, 8, and 9 are kind of when you get up higher. And it's that 9th level that really says, hey, this technology has been flight proven. All of that is extremely expensive. And so our focus was to say, okay, how can we support, because we've been there, done that. We've gone through all this process, and it's been very difficult and expensive to get our hardware, our technologies flight proven. So what we did is we decided we're going to provide an opportunity for companies who want to be a part of this like massive supply chain of space to develop and want to develop their own disruptive technologies to get there without, costing an arm and a leg or taking 20 years like we did to gain the experience to make it happen. So what we've done is we're launching our own constellation. We have a planned Sidus constellation called LizzieSat. We've been approved for 100 satellites through ITU licensing, and we're going to provide on-orbit testing for emerging or mature technologies to be tested in order to get that flight heritage status. And we combine that with something we call the external flight test platform, which, through a grant with Space Florida, we were able to develop to put up on the International Space Station and test various technologies in that external space environment. We're combining all that together. So you get static testing, you get the manufacturing integration, deploy the satellites, and then also collect the data, because we have our own satellites up there. We are going to be collecting space-based data so that we can sell to consumers, companies, and also countries, international countries. So that's kind of what we're doing now. And it was a little bit of a pivot, but not really. It's just, moving with the industry and taking advantage and seeing what's happening out there. And so I would say we've really turned into this turnkey space company, and we're super excited to be a part of the next several years. I mean, it's just the opportunities are endless. So, and I appreciate being on the panel. I'm excited to have discussion further.
Carol, that was incredible, the achievements you have done in a relatively short period of time. And I can't help but think to myself, as I look at you, Carol, and I look at Jane, thinking you're two very talented young women who are probably unique insofar as you are women in very, high-level positions in the aerospace industry. And that's probably pretty uncommon. Carol, you might remember some time ago, we spoke at an interview, and I asked you kind of casually, so tell me, Carol, when you go into a room, what do you typically see? And
what did I say?
Yeah, you said to me, I usually see a room full of men, which I thought was quite probably very accurate.
It's kind of the truth.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, Carol, for that. And I'm really excited to introduce Jane Poynter, co-CEO and Chief Experience Officer with Space Perspective. Now, Jane, we met briefly before, a few times, and I know you were at our recent Aerospace Innovation and Tech Forum, where you kindly agreed to be interviewed by one of my colleagues, Aaron, and that was so enjoyable. So we welcome you today, and on behalf of everyone, and love to hear your story. You tell us about Space Perspective.
Well, thanks so much, Tony. And it's great to be on this panel. Thanks for having me. And of course, I love nothing more than to tell the Space Perspective story. At Space Perspective, our mission is to take as many people as possible to space. And in large measure, that's to be able to take people to have that quintessential astronaut experience of seeing Earth in space. And we do that in a very different way than most people are used to thinking about space travel. Rather than using rockets that are very exciting, and we've all been watching all the excitement this year of a number of different rocket flights that have occurred and increasing numbers of private citizens being able to go to space. But rather than have all those high Gs involved, we use a large space balloon. And by large, I mean it is a space balloon that is the size of a football field. And it carries a very comfortable capsule, pressurized capsule that seats 8 passengers and a pilot. And it goes to space at 12 miles an hour. So you're going to cycling speed to space. So it's a very different experience. It affords an experience that is super gentle, very comfortable. It really does throw open the doors on space travel to so many people that otherwise would not want to or are not able to go to space on a rocket. And that's really where we come in. We're a suborbital flight. And, imagine getting up pre-dawn and it's dark out. And you get into this super comfy capsule that has a bar and a loo, because it is a 6-hour flight. And it's going to take you 2 hours to get up to space. And you very gently go up. And when you get up there, it's still dark out. And so you don't get the light pollution. And you're above 99% of the atmosphere. And so you're going to have the most incredible view of the stars. Then the sun is going to start coming up over the horizon. And now you're going to see that quintessential view of the sun in the blackness of space shining through that iconic thin blue line of our atmosphere. You'll be up there for a couple of hours, and then 2 hours later you'll be splashed down. We do land in the sea, and that actually affords an incredibly safe flight. So this entire flight is it's not only a very gentle experience, it's very safe. These space balloons have been flown 1,000 times by NASA and others. And of course, there's all kinds of redundancies that our team is also including in the system, of course, and thoroughly testing before we take passengers up in around 2024. And then, of course, I think a very topical thing of today is the environmental impact. We are able to have an emissions-free flight. And in fact, we operate our company as a carbon neutral company, which we're very proud of, and I'm really happy that we are able to do that. So as a space travel company, I can report that the demand for this is as crazy as it looks like. So, there's been all kinds of studies that have been done on space travel and its demand. And Cowen came out with one that said, the total addressable market for edge of space flight is, between 500 and 700 billion. That's a large number. What does that translate to on the ground? Well, I can tell you that we put tickets on sale at $125,000 a piece. Right now, you just put down a refundable deposit. We put them on sale in June publicly, and I'm happy to report that we've now sold over 500 tickets. We'll be announcing soon, which is, right? You're shaking your head, Tony. Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. So I think we have great product market fit, and I think it demonstrates that there truly is an enormous demand. And I think you've probably seen it's been written by many that the demand for space travel is going to far outstrip all of our ability to service that demand for many years to come. So we have our operations center is on Kennedy Space Center. We will be doing some of our flights from there. Because we splash down, it's awesome that for us, operationally, that Florida is a peninsula. So part of the year we'll splash down in the Atlantic. Part of the year we splash down on the other side of the peninsula in the Gulf. So we get to see the full Florida peninsula in its glory from up there. But there's also 2 other spaceports here in Florida that we will also be using. One is just across the river, actually where I'm speaking to you from right now, which is the the Space Coast Spaceport. And then just up the coast to the north is in Jacksonville at Cecil Field. So thoroughly set up for space travel here, which is fantastic. We have been doing a nationwide search for our headquarters and our permanent manufacturing facilities. And get ready, we will be making an announcement very soon, Tony, about that. Yay, hey. Which we're very happy about, right? I'm not going to spill the beans, but you can imagine what the answer is. So we're super excited that Florida is welcoming us. And I think one thing that as we look to what's happening with this very rapidly growing space industry writ large, there's been lots written about how fast this industry is growing. When I first started in this industry, not only was it mostly a male-dominated industry, which thankfully it is beginning to change. Mm-hmm. Also, there weren't that many commercial startups in the Silicon Valley style startup mode. I started my first space company when I was 30, and people thought we were mad. So I'm very happy to say that we're really beginning to see the startup community thriving here in Florida. And of course, what is really important for the startup community is the VC community. And we're also beginning to see the VC community flocking to Florida. So that's also incredibly helpful for the entire ecosystem here. So super happy to be here. Love to continue chatting. And thanks again for having me.
Our pleasure, Jane. And great to hear your story. And I think, Christelle, we had talked earlier on that perhaps you and I might split up some questions and invite maybe everybody on the panel, like as if we're sitting around the fireside chat. If you want to join in with a nice comment or maybe your own true comment, please feel free. Everyone is extremely welcome. So, Christelle, did you want to go first, or would you like me to take the first?
Well, I can take one, and I really wanted to ask, I think Airbus OneWeb, because I think it's the only company used from a foreigner. I would say even it's a joint venture this time. But Laurent, can you tell us a little bit about why did you choose Florida and Brevard County to locate OneWeb satellite?
Yeah, thank you, Christelle. Obviously, several reasons for that. As we discussed, and as you know, there is plenty of super interesting company, L3, Thales, Craig Technologies, all of those companies. So here in this area in the Brevard County, we have access to skilled engineering workforce, right? I mean, this is one clearly, which is also inherited from the space shuttle and the Apollo. There is a passion for space that is very clear. You see, I mean, Jane, you're highly motivated, you're passionate by that. So this is the second element, right? And also, as you said, RUAG and some other suppliers that have been made that step, moving to Florida. We have a supportive ecosystem, right? I mean, Space Florida being one, we are in mostly daily contact on new opportunities. And we receive a strong support from the entire state of Florida. So Space Florida, Enterprise Florida, your organization, Christelle, FDOT, and Space Coast EDC. And all of that obviously can help, and we can receive substantial benefits, right? And lastly, of course, right, sunshine, beaches, nice people all around these places. So there is plenty of reasons, right, why OneWeb satellite has decided. We had a couple of others opportunities and discussion back in 2015, but definitely Florida, and because there is, you can probably develop a little bit on that. There is close collaboration between states of Florida and France, government of France. Help any European company and French company to move here to Florida.
So, well, thank you, Laurent, and thank you, Christelle, for posing that question. Carol, if I may address you, and I'm just checking this morning about your platform, the flight test platform that you have on board the International Space Station, and I wondered in some way, is that in any way linked to where you see an opportunity for growth of both Sidus and Craig Technologies? Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it, where you see the future and those opportunities, where they might lie for you.
Yeah. So like, as I mentioned before, we're a little more focused on space-based data and providing to the customers, but also that supply chain. I mean, I think that's where it is. And you see Jane's passion, and we see what the opportunity is, what the TAM is, the total addressable market. Well, think about the suppliers that are within that market. And that's kind of what we're focused on. Having been a supplier, it's almost that, hey, I know what I would want and I know what my challenges were. So let me see if I can do something to help those suppliers. So I think that's one of our biggest opportunities, is really supporting and making it move, helping them move faster. I mean, that's ultimately the goal, is that we get there faster, we get there, less expensive. Every one of you guys has to have suppliers, and you want those suppliers who are proven. And so that's what we're doing. We're trying to take all this 20 some years of experience and use it for, a greater good in some ways. I mean, we all want to make money and be successful, but also it's going to help all the way around. And then the other piece of that is the data side of it. And that's, we talk about satellites, OneWeb, and everybody, and you've got your comm satellites, and then you've got EOs, the Earth observation. But the truth is, satellite data is data. That sounds really simplistic. I always say it's not rocket science, drive people crazy, but data is data, right? That we need data, and it's all dependent on the technology or the sensor that goes up in a satellite. So you don't have to have a constellation that's just an EO constellation, or it's just a SAR constellation, or it's just this one focus. It's like, why can't I kind of be everything to everybody when I need to be everything to everybody? And that flows back into how we're making our modular satellites, so we can have multiple customers supported on one, from a data and from the technology or the supplier chain perspective. So that alone, I think, is our big opportunity that we can grow as this industry continues to grow. So.
Some very good comments there, Carol. I think you might say data is money. The quest for data is quite insatiable. Yeah. Jane, I couldn't resist. I went to your website this morning, and I was looking at that beautiful video of the balloon taking off. And I don't know why. It must be because I'm slightly older than many of you guys here. I was thinking of that song from The Fifth Dimension, Up, Up and Away, My Beautiful Balloon. And what a wonderful way to go into space. But you mentioned as well VCs and investment in your company. And I know that recently you guys received quite a substantial investment. And that's really encouraging for you as a co-CEO, as a founder of your company. Tell us where you see the effects, and I shouldn't say it vulgarly, but say, where do you intend to spend the money, and how do you see the growth?
Well, our investors are very, very interested in that response as well, Tony. So yes, we were very, very fortunate to close a 40 million plus financing, and we previously had almost 8. So we're now pretty well set to get to commercial operations. I mean, that's the fantastic thing with this financing that we just did. Actually, there was a lot of fantastic things with this financing. That's certainly one of them, right? That's really taking the capital risk off the table. So that's amazing. I'm really excited by who invested in our last round. So, team is everything, and our team just really hit the ball out of the park this year and hit the milestones way earlier than we said we would, so like 6 months earlier. So we got a preemptive term sheet from our lead investor in the seed round. So that was really affirming. And in fact, 75% of our financing came from existing investors, which is just a huge vote of confidence. And then the majority of the rest of it came from 2. One, as everybody knows, it's really important to get investors who really bring value to your business beyond the money. The money is very important, but we really wanted additional value brought to the company. And so Lightshed came in, and they are really focused on consumer and media. So that's super helpful to get them in. And then also Explorer One Fund, which was founded by a former JPL lead. So we've really got some technical expertise there as well. So super happy about that. And so now we are standing up manufacturing our capsule. We're standing up manufacturing our balloons. We're going to get back into test flights next year. You saw, Tony, this year we did a really awesome flight that we did right here from the Space Coast Spaceport, where we did the entire flight profile, soup to nuts. It was a capsule simulator, not an actual pressurized capsule, but it went through the entire flight profile. And then next year we will be starting back into testing, this time with a real capsule, which is very exciting. That the team is currently standing up manufacturing for that. So we're going to get back into testing towards the second half of 22 and 23. We're planning to have our first crewed flight, so we can fly this thing autonomously, but then of course we end up needing to put people in it. So we will have our pilot on board sometime in 23, and then get into commercial operations in 2024.
Well, congratulations on that 40 million. I mean, let's say it 40 million times over. As you know, Jane and Carol as well, and Christelle, we do in Space Florida have a capital acceleration program in which we partner with the Florida Venture Forum, and they've been wonderful partners over the last 7 years. And whereas they're mainly early stage companies, over $500 million has been invested in the participating companies. And you never know where that investment is going to come from. As you said, Jane, it may come from existing people who said, you know what, I truly believe in this company now. Christelle, I know I'm being very rude, but I just want to talk to Laurent for 1 second, and then it's over to you. I promise.
No, that's okay. And I'm taking a question. I'm just taking a question coming from the bar on the chat bar. So Jane, it's for you.
Yeah.
How high the balloon fly will go? Is it the first fly in 2024, or is there any flight in 2021, 2022?
So the balloon, the space balloon, by the way, our vehicle is called Spaceship Neptune. So it goes above 99% of the atmosphere. So we're going to 100,000 feet, which of course sounds a lot less than other suborbital flights. But what's fascinating is the view is basically the same. You really can't tell the difference between the view that you'll see at 100,000 feet and when you go a little bit higher on the other suborbital flights. The reason is, of course, because the Earth is so big compared to that, by comparison, small change in altitude. And the key is to get above the atmosphere. So you'll have that full black sky. And so, yes, we are going to be flying next year, but it will not be with people. But it will be a pretty astonishing view for people who want to see it, because these balloons are, as I said at the beginning, the balloons are the size of a football field when they're fully inflated, but when they're standing up on the launch pad, it stands up almost 700 feet tall. So it is way taller than the VAB. So you're going to be able to see it from quite far away, and it's a really graceful launch. It is nothing like any kind of rocket flight where it's a lot of sound and you get that kind of impressive sound that you get with. I remember seeing my shuttle launches, which will always stick with me forever. This is pretty much the opposite of that. It's completely silent, very graceful and very slow. And it's a beautiful thing to see. So we look forward to people being able to see them.
Well, thank you so much, Jane. And thank you sincerely, Christelle, for looking for questions. You would keep your eyes open. I'd love you to jump in. The one I know, I did want to ask Laurent one particular question. And I'm very interested in your international partnerships with Airbus OneWeb. And if you could tell us a little bit about that, I'd truly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. So obviously we are, as I said, we are a joint venture, right? So there is a first a partnership by nature between OneWeb, which is currently based in the UK, and Airbus, that is based in Toulouse, right? And this partnership today is the architecture, the bone, and the skeleton of our organization. That is going very, very well. But this is also a global effort that takes a well-coordinated, collaborative supply chain, and we believe investing in the industry through partners and how we support not just OneWeb, which is the first spark again, but support the whole industry to keep progressing and make innovation, etc., etc. We've got a couple of topics on that, Tony, right? So our global supply chain today, and I know very well this topic because before running the program, I set up that supply chain ecosystem here for OneWeb satellite. Our global supply chain consists today to more than 40 major suppliers. And they are all around the world. North America, obviously, I mean, US, Canada, Europe, and even South Africa. So we are working across, I think, 10 different time zones, and our team have to speak or understand at least 8 different languages, right? Something that I probably should have said at the beginning. The team in Toulouse that has developed that incredible manufacturing technique, which has established that first serial mass production of a satellite, was already a team of people coming from France and from OneWeb in the US, right? So since the beginning, in our DNA, we are built for international partnership, right? And obviously, we still rely heavily on our engineering and skills to the Florida team that is, I mean, currently mainly US people, but like myself, still a couple of French families and French members running this program and this company.
Merci, Laurent.
Plaisir.
Can I take one, Tony? You're on mute, so I can take it. Okay. Maybe for Carol.
Absolutely.
Carol, I would like to ask you something about talent. We know that Florida is growing and we may need more talent, and Laurent spoke about some talent as well and education, but do you see Florida going more to meet the demand of the future talent, the skills that you need for an aerospace? Do you mean that we have enough, or do we need to bring more? Do we need to bring more new initiative?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's a topic that we've all been discussing, and it's changed over the years. I don't know that there's a lack of the skill and those types of employees and who in the workforce is lacking. I think the big challenge is it's so competitive, and because of what's happening. So stepping back, I think that Florida's done a great job of bringing in companies like OneWeb, and like James Space Perspective, and then growing companies that came here just because the weather was nice, kind of like mine. So I think they've done a great job, and I think that's why you see the workforce. But like I said, it's competitive, and it's competitive against each other. And Tony and I are both musicians, and he uses references to songs. I probably shouldn't even use this one, but there's a Kenny Chesney song. He talks about the island, and he says, "You don't lose your girlfriend, you just lose your turn." It's kind of like that here, right? So it's the fact that we've got a lot of people that are going to be looking around at other companies and saying, hey, maybe there's more here, there's more. So the key thing for all of us, for all of our companies, is that we offer the high-end benefits, that we offer quality compensation, above average on just about everything that you can, and that you offer an environment that you not only attract them, but you got to retain them. And I think there's some of that's a little bit easier because we're doing such unique things that people are like, oh my gosh, I want to be a part of this. But again, you've got that competition throughout Brevard County and Florida. And so we got to make sure that we stay on top of our games, and we're all passionate about space, but ultimately it's all about our employees. And that's what it comes down to. And that is something that we've always done with Craig Technologies and also Sidus. Is like, okay, focus on the employee. I'm not going to work you to death, but I want to, help you have this passion that you want to contribute and be a part of something bigger, and just all those things that come in. So that's kind of my perspective on the workforce.
And Carol, if I could be rude and say, just so people know who are tuned in today, I'm not a professional piano player. I'm a ukulele player. There's a hell of a difference.
You're good, though.
It's good fun. Hey, Laurent, I know you have some thoughts about the workforce, and you, an Airbus, you've been putting plans in action. Perhaps you'd like to tell us about that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, as we were pointing out a minute ago, at Airbus OneWeb satellite, we partner with the Eastern Florida State College, right, and several other businesses, and we've developed a successful 2 5 years apprenticeship program which brings company together and help build the talent pipeline with a mix of experiences and learning from the high potential. Again, as I was saying a minute ago, I'm a true believer of mixing those experiences. Talking about partnership again between Europe and the US. And to the point that our current cohort of apprentices are going to Germany in the next couple of weeks in December to visit local companies. I mean, mainly Airbus factories, right? So that's the easy one. Mainly to learn how the European companies are set up their apprenticeship programs and what they can bring as well back to the US and find those synergy to do better, right? This team program gives companies new talent with different perspectives and offer opportunity to the college student to pursue technical avenues, right? We need those guys. We need this workforce that was not available before. We have had, I think I was not in the US at that time, right? We have had great talented people at the time of the Apollo and space shuttle. And eventually Space Florida talent went down. And now we have all of those new companies. Again, I won't name them again, but we need those talent. We need those bright people. We need Florida to attract those people, right? And obviously, I mean, you cannot make, even we simplify all of our processes at OneWeb Satellite. I mean, I guess people around this table can comment as well. We don't need a 4-year engineering degree today, right? To work on the space industry, right? We need talented people. We need a little bit of training, but it's available and accessible to everyone. And this is the objective at OneWeb Satellite as well, that we can bring more and more people.
Christelle, I see a question coming up here from Mr. Jack Blood for Carol. Maybe would you like to read that? Can you see it on your screen?
Which one it is?
Question for Carol.
Sorry.
It's in the chat. It's in the chat tab.
Yeah.
If you click right next to people on the
Okay. Can you talk about Carol? Sorry. Can you talk about some of the turnkey solution LizzieSat might provide to those companies interested in developing their own small sat constellation, whether it's SATCOM, network oriented, or Earth observation, or other apps? Will you also provide launch brokering in your portfolio of services? Is the primary advantage of using Sidus risk reduction, schedule acceleration, faster time to market, cost avoidance, reduction, saving? Thanks.
Jack. A long one.
Yes, to all of the above. That's the goal. And so we really, because of all of our experience and then spinning off Sidus Space from Craig, we're really offering that from the beginning to end. So it's that concept to LEO constellation to actually the monitoring. And so, there's entry points all the way in there, whether you have your own satellite that you want deployed, we can do that with our in-space satellite deployer that's up in the ISS. We can provide you that opportunity. Like if you want to create your own satellite constellation, that's great. But if all you're really looking at is that data, well, we might have that solution. We'll just get you your data. And we have relationships with a number of different companies, the supplier, especially like the launch brokering. We have relationship with the ISS, of course, that we can, send up different payloads and things like that to the ISS. But then also there's a local company, Via Space here. It's a small satellite launcher rocket company. I didn't say that right, but you know what I mean. And so we work with them as well, because that way we can handle it all. We are able to facilitate, and it's just like, here's my need, hand it over and let us do that. So we really are focused as well on the supplier chain here in Brevard County, which again is why we've got such a great relationship with Via Space and are going to be utilizing them over the next several years. But it is all of the above, as mentioned in that comment.
So I'm just speaking to Mark. I see we have approximately 4 to 5 minutes left, so I want to try and keep that in mind. Jane, perhaps you haven't got an opportunity to speak, but when you talk $40 million, I think you got everyone's attention. I was wondering, did you want to throw some final thoughts on how you see space perspective in the future, what the growth might be like, and what it'll mean to your company and for the future?
Yeah, thanks, Tony. Appreciate the question. So we are basing our initial operations right here in Florida. As I mentioned earlier, there are 3 spaceports here, which is very handy, and we're on a peninsula, so makes a lot of sense. It's very exciting for our customers that they get to come to, let's face it, the seat of human spaceflight exploration right here at Kennedy Space Center. Sorry, Houston. It's here at Kennedy Space Center, right, Tony?
Absolutely.
That's very exciting for everybody to come here and really get that history when they fly. We will, however, once we've started flying commercially, we are going to very rapidly start building out other launch locations around the world. And of course, Europe is a very key contender for one of our early locations to go to. I also think about, I don't know if you've seen the Northern Lights, but astronauts talk about the ridiculous view of seeing the Northern Lights from space. Well, we would like to be able to offer our customers as well the opportunity of seeing the Northern Lights from space. So that will take us to a different part of the world again. So we already think of ourselves as a global company, which honestly is also great for being right here in Florida. It's such a location full of tourism, of course, which we are, but experiences of all sorts. And I see that there is a luxury and retail table coming up, which of course we're part of that world. We are very much in the luxury travel world.
Can you remind me just a quick, the price of a ticket?
Yes. The price of the ticket is $125,000. And right now you can go online to spaceperspective.com where you can buy a ticket to space online.
I must confess, I just did that. But
Well,
I was waiting for a super economy seat.
Yeah, but right now all you have to do is put $1,000 down. You can put more down now if you would like, if you want to fly earlier in the queue. But $1,000 now, and it's fully refundable. So go buy your ticket to space online.
Thank you, Jane. We're all doing it right now. Hey, Mark, how much? I wondered, could Laurent and Carol and Christelle have a moment to say goodbye?
Absolutely. If we can fit this in 1 minute, that would be awesome. Yeah. If you go over, I will disconnect the internet.
Thank you in advance. Laurent, you're on first.
Well, but thank you all. Thank you for those discussions. Very, 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 very good. Nice to meet you, Carol and Jane, and obviously Mark and Tony. I see you in the next couple of days, right? At Space Florida. That was a good talk, and we kept in touch.
Yeah. Hey, Carol.
Thank you. Thank you very much, all of you. Yeah, it was a pleasure to have you, and I think they're going to disconnect us in like 1 second. Just wanted to tell you that Business France will organize a space mission to Florida next year for French company to visit you guys and to have B2B with you. So I hope we're all going to be welcoming those French company, and hopefully they will set up in the States. Thank you very much.
Awesome. And I'll just say thank you very much. I'm the only one without a cool accent, but that's okay. It's a pleasure to be here today, and I appreciate it. It was great. It's great to be a part of it.
Thank you, everyone. This has been an incredible experience. Thank you, Mark, and of course, thank you to Rachel.
It was very inspiring, Carol, Jane, Laurent, and it's absolutely inspiring. And thank you for making us dream. Next session, indeed, is about luxury and retail with the Miami Design District. It is happening right now. In the meantime, you can connect with our panelists or chat if you want by connecting into the People's tab, so you can find everyone's contacts. And I will see you in the other session right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.